Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you again for being here. Hope you made it through traffic and some congestion that's out there. So very much appreciate you making your way through here. My name is Ken Fields, and I'm a part of the communications and engagement team here at the St. Louis Fed. Our team has been helping facilitate this Fed Listens event. Welcome to President Mousalem, Governor Waller, staff members, our council members, everybody who is joining us via live stream right now as we kick off this important Fed Listens event. Fed Listens provides another opportunity for policymakers like Governor Waller and President Musalem to hear directly from a wide range of stakeholders. We are really grateful to everyone who's participating in this, and both virtually and in person today. Before we go any farther, I'd like to introduce President Mousalem and just give you a little bit of background. He brings a really interesting mix of private and public sector experience to the role that he has. As President and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, he participates on the Federal Open Market Committee, and he also leads the work of this bank at both this location at our headquarters and also the branches that we have in Little Rock, Louisville, and Memphis. For Alberto, public outreach like this and engagement is a really important priority. He meets regularly with people across the district. Those experiences and insights that he hears really provide him with important perspectives as he represents the district and the people we serve at the FOMC. Alberto has nearly 3 decades of experience in economic policy, finance, and markets. Prior to joining the St. Louis Fed, he served as CEO and co-chief investment officer of Events Asset Management. He also was executive vice president and senior advisor to the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. In addition, he's held several positions, including managing director, partner, global head of research at Tudor Investment Corporation, and early in his career, he was an economist at the International Monetary Fund. So I'd like to ask you to help me welcome Alberto Musalem, President of the St. Louis Fed.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning to all of you, and welcome to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, whether you're a first-time visitor or veteran participant of the bank's events. I would like to also welcome those who are joining us via live stream for this morning's remarks and later for the report-out sessions after lunch. Today's event is entitled Fed Listens because we want to hear from you how people and communities across the 8th Federal Reserve District are experiencing the economy and monetary policy. We also want to hear how we can improve. Specifically, we're asking for your input to help us better understand the effectiveness of Federal Reserve monetary policy and how we might best serve the American people. Every 5 years or so, the Federal Reserve engages in a review of its monetary policy framework. Congress has assigned 2 policy objectives to the Fed, that is maximum employment and price stability. The policy framework describes the Fed's approach for implementing monetary policy to achieve those objectives. The framework has elements that don't change, including the goals set by Congress. It also includes elements that have changed over time as the Fed's Monetary Policy Committee, that is the FOMC, has refined its approach in response to new information, changes in the economic environment, and lessons from experience. Fed Listens events were held around the United States in 2019 and 2020 as part of the last major framework review. The information gathered from those events helped the FOMC in its efforts to improve its framework. For today's event, we have convened members of the bank's 4 industry councils with representatives from the agribusiness, healthcare, real estate, and transportation, our Community Depository Institutions Advisory Council, and our Community Development Advisory Council. We're asking each participant to share perspectives on labor market conditions, inflation, and importantly, the communications and transmission of monetary policy. They will undoubtedly provide us with valuable insights about how the economy and monetary policy are affecting the lives and the livelihoods across our region and the nation. In addition to special events like Fed Listens, the St. Louis Fed routinely engages with business and community leaders, bankers, educators, and other communities throughout the 8th District. Our colleagues at other Federal Reserve banks do the same in their districts, and we all work together to understand economic conditions in all parts of the United States. The genius of the decentralized structure of the Federal Reserve System is that it allows and encourages us to be closely in touch with the people we serve. Of course, our colleagues at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. are also in contact with the public through various events and forums. I am very pleased to introduce Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller, who will be participating in today's meeting. Governor Waller is no stranger to St. Louis or the 8th District, having served for many years at this bank's Director of Research prior to joining the Board of Governors in December 2020. Before coming to St. Louis, Governor Waller had a distinguished academic career as a faculty member in economics departments at Indiana University, the University of Kentucky, the University of Notre Dame, where he was the Gilbert F. Schaefer Chair of Economics and Research Fellow with Notre Dame's Kellogg Institute for International Studies. Before turning it over to Governor Waller for his remarks, I want to again thank you for joining us today and for giving us the benefit of your insights and wisdom. At the St. Louis Fed, we're committed to a strong and resilient economy that works for all. That is why I'm so grateful for the time you have taken to share your perspectives today. I also look forward to hearing the report from this morning's session when we gather after lunch. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Alberto. It's great to be back in St. Louis. Had some toasted crabs for dinner last night. And for anybody on the live stream who's logged in because they think I'm going to talk about monetary policy, you can log off and get back to work because I'm not going to. So I want to thank everyone here for this great turnout, which is itself a big part of what we're trying to accomplish today. Fed Listens is about hearing from the public on the Federal Reserve's approach to monetary policy, and that begins with active and broad participation. Your interest and engagement in the work of the Fed is an essential first step in this process of consultation. In addition to the valuable information that Fed policymakers receive at these events, engagement with the public contributes to a broader understanding of the important role that monetary policy plays in the economy. Now, as we've heard from President Mousalem, the Federal Reserve was, in important ways, actually designed to promote this kind of engagement and input from the public. Unusually, among agencies of the federal government, the Fed is located in and part of every region of the United States, other than maybe the post office and IRS, which nobody wants to deal with. Reserve banks such as the St. Louis Fed carry out a number of important functions, but among the most important is ensuring that the concerns and priorities of the communities of each reserve bank are reflected in monetary policies decisions made in Washington. Now, this is something I know very well, having served here, as Alberto said, as Executive Vice President, Research Director for nearly a dozen years. I advised on monetary policy while engaging with people throughout the 8th District, hearing their concerns and how they were faring in the economy, and how they were affected by inflation, interest rates, and the state of the job market. I see a lot of familiar faces here today. It's good to be back. I learned a lot about the economies of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. See, I haven't forgotten. But I learned as much about how important it is to hear from people directly about their experiences as well as their perceptions, which are sometimes just as consequential for the economy. We call this part of the soft data that supplements the hard data that we get from government statistics and that policymakers eagerly await. Now, the hard data is indispensable for setting monetary policy, but we can't get a full and detailed picture of the economy without the soft data you provide. So my former colleague, Bob Rash, when I came in, he said, look, anecdotes become data at some point. So listen to the anecdotes. Sometimes they're just anecdotes, and other times they're a signal to what's coming. And so I've always kept that in mind when I go out and talk with the public. Fed Listens is directly connected to the Fed's review of our long-run goals and strategy for monetary policy, referred to as our framework, which was last updated 5 years ago. But in a larger sense, it is part of a broader process of consultation with the public that never stops. We know that individuals, families, businesses, and communities are significantly affected by decisions we make to promote a healthy economy. We want, in fact, we need to know how you have been impacted. We need to know how inflation and interest rates are affecting consumers. We need to know how rates are affecting the cost and access to credit by businesses, small and large. We need to know how you expect the economy to evolve over the coming months and years, and how that is influencing your plans for the future. So in conclusion, I'll say again how great it is to be back in St. Louis, and I look forward to hearing from you all later what your thoughts are on the local economy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Waller. If you're not from St. Louis, Toasted Ravs are one of the 4 main food groups in St. Louis, so we can gladly hook you up later on. I'm going to give you some logistical information. We're going to take a break for a bit. You're going to head to your breakout rooms to begin your working session. The program that you have should list the room for where your council is meeting. I'm going to go over that here in just a moment as well, just in case you can't find it there. Also, we're going to have staff situated throughout the bank to help you and make sure you get where you need to go. During the working session, you're going to discuss a series of questions that you've received, and then you're going to work on your council's report. We have already volunteered as tribute the spokesperson for your team, so you don't have to worry about that. That's already been arranged, unless they want to trade at some point, and then we can work out a deal. At 11:05, you're going to wrap up that work, and you're going to make your way back to the River Room where some of you had breakfast, and you're going to have lunch there. That is a non-working lunch, but it's kind of a brief one. Then at noon, we're all going to reconvene here for to hear from each council and hear their report. For virtual attendees, those who are on the live stream, we're going to resume the live stream at noon Central Time. So we'll see you back here then. Okay, so we're going to take a break until 9:05. That's about 20 minutes or so. And you're going to be in your rooms at 9:05 ready to begin the work. Let me just read through the councils and the rooms that you're going to be in, and I'm going to give you a hack. The the rooms named after states are on the outside of the wall. The rooms named after cities are on the inside of the wall, so you can find more easily where you're going. So the Agribusiness Council, which is led by Matushka, who is here, I think. Hey, Matushka. Will be meeting in the Tennessee room, okay, at 9:05. The healthcare facilitated by SEMA is going to be meeting in the St. Louis room. St. Louis would be on the inside wall. Real estate facilitated by me will be meeting in the Missouri room. Transportation facilitated by Douglas Scarborough. Is going to be in the Kentucky room. CDAC, facilitated by Jim Fuchs, is going to be in the Memphis room, and CDAC, facilitated by Sarah Kramer, is going to be in the Clark room, which is on the 5th floor. So we're going to help you find that because that doesn't equate to my hack I just gave you. So that's all the details that I think you need moving forward. If you have a question, somebody wearing a gold badge will be able to help you find where you need to go. Again, thank you so much for being here, and for those on the live stream, we'll see you at noon.